Maxime de Kuiper, the Brighton right back, came off the bench last night for Belgium. He didn't score. He did get 3 goals in 9 games last year in 2025, and we make him the biggest value opportunity in the whole of the 2026 World Cup. My name's Tom Brownlee from BookieBashing.net. In these videos, we look at the edges and angles of profitable betting. We discussed in the last video a Monte Carlo simulator because we wanted to price up the teams in the World Cup. How do we price up France to win, England to win, all the match odds for the 104 games? And we did that. So today, let's look at Goalscorer. Not teams, but players. So all the teams have been announced for the World Cup now, and there are 1,104 outfield players. Yes, goalkeepers could score goals. We've talked long and hard about this behind the scenes. We're not going to be modelling them. We've assigned them 0xG. It's negligible. We're not worrying about it. In terms of outfield players, we've now got that data. We've plugged it into our simulator and we've run it a number of times. And a few things jumped up when we ran a simulation of the players scoring goals in the tournament 250,000 times, 250,000 times. Firstly, 80.8% of the time, top goal scorer gets 5, 6 or 7 goals. Only 4% of the time is it fewer than that, and then 15% of the time is it 8 goals or more. An interesting thing happened in simulation 6,414, where 22 players were tied with 3 goals each. That kind of thing can happen. Generally, for a bookmaker, you're going to end up with very unhappy customers when they go in and their stake is divided by 22 when they pick up their winnings. And that's why they introduced Golden Ball a few years ago, or a few tournaments ago, as it was a direct result of unhappy customers after there was a dead heat tie in the World Cup. And now there's only one winner of Golden Boot. If players are tied for top goal scorer, it goes to the most assists and then the most minutes played. And we've modeled that, but we'll come to that later in the video. So what was our input data into this? Well, we've got all of our players, and we were a bit sneaky. We made a hybrid model, which is frequently what we build at Bookie Bashing. So not only do we have our own internal probability distributions, but we have a scope around, a sneaky peek at what the market's doing as well, because the market often contains a lot of useful information. And what we've borrowed from the market for this particular model is the percentage allocation that each player is going to get in the team. Take Joshua Kimmich as an example. He plays midfield for Bayern Munich, but it looks like he's going to be left back at the World Cup. And so his XG, his percentage allocation, is going to be different for Germany as it is for Bayern Munich. We could go in and tweak those numbers ourselves for all 1,104 players. In fact, the model that we've built is customizable, so that I'll come to that. But if you go and use it, you can tweak your own allocations yourself. For this, we decided we were going to borrow an average of what the market looked like. So we haven't just looked in one place, we've looked at everywhere and we've averaged it. And that for us gives us an XG for Harry Kane of 3.467. It gives us an XG for Kylian Mbappe for 3.368. And that's because of the allocations of Kane's goal for England and Mbappe's goal for France. Under our numbers, across this wide scope of the market, we actually make Harry Kane slight favourites to be top goal scorer in the World Cup. Marginally, but just slightly over Kylian Mbappe. Go and have a look at the markets. Kylian Mbappe is favourite there. But the top 4 in the markets, Harry Kane, Mbappe, Ronaldo and Messi, all look value. And then value falls off a cliff for Yamal, Oyarzabal, Havertz. I've got a table here. You can go here. You can Dutch the best value players in the tournament. In fact, I've ranked them by EV here. It's Jonathan David for Canada with an XG of 2.11. We're taking a position on him here. The exchange's top goal scorer is 85.0. We make him 34.8. And that's mostly because Jonathan David, Juventus Serie A, is allocated a significant number of Canada's XG. We also price Canada quite highly in this tournament relative to what the markets are doing. These are our assessments. And as I say, if you've got a different assessment, if you think Jonathan David's going to get fewer allocated goals for Canada, go play with the model, adjust those figures yourself. And what we see is 20 plus EV players, or at least over 105% EV. Quite high odds with a lot of these, 200.0 for Pulisic, 100.0 for Depay. If you were to back all of them, that would be the equivalent of 2.2, 6 to 5 decimal odds. The fair odds here would be 1.57, a really strong value bet touching all of these. Or an alternative process would be to back them each way. 1/4 odds 4 places, or 1/5 odds 5 places is out there in the markets, and that's something we've added to the simulator as well, so that you can see the fair odds for any player to get top goal scorer, both just outright win and also 4 or 5 places at quarter or 5th odds. Similar players crop up in the golden boot market, but we have added into this assists and a little bit of tweaking. Can't really predict minutes played, but we've added something to our algorithm for that. We've got 25 plus EV players out there in the exchange. A bit like top goal scorer, if you back all of these, it's the equivalent of 2.43 back odds, 1.68 fair odds. Really, really strong value bet with golden boot. So where are these numbers coming from? Well, it's our Monte Carlo simulator, which is in our World Cup hub. We did have a look at the teams simulator, which is here before, but I'm having a look at the player odds simulator. So I'm just going to get started here. Let's just do 5,000 just to kick things off. And as we scroll down, we now have a list of players. They're jumping around a bit because the more simulations we do, the more accurate these numbers are. This is top goal scorer. We could also have a look at golden boot and top assists as well. We've got all of that data in there. The assists is a very interesting market. There are fewer assists than there are goals. The 66% of goals have assists. The remaining 34% of goals are not assisted. They're either, a penalty or a solo run, or there's no pass that's gone in. So there are going to be fewer assists than there are goals, and that means that it's way more likely to have dead heats. The market's a lot more compact. But that's the 5,000 run there. I do have a few adjustments that I can make. So I could select a team such as Argentina, and then I can go and say Lionel Messi is going to, 27% of Argentina's goals are meant to come from Messi. I can change that, and I can change how many assists he's got as well. But I'm going to leave it as the baseline, which is what we've done, benchmarking a wide scope of the markets out there. And I could add a player if necessary, but I'm going to use the data that's here. Here we have the number of goals to win from most goal scorers. As we can see, 5 to 7 is the typical range. And now we've got our goal count distribution. Harry Kane is going to get no goal only 4.3% of the time. He's pretty much nailed on 96% of the time to get a goal. 4 goals is going to be 45%. He's going to be top goal scorer 15% of the time. And we've got some numbers here for golden boot as well. These are his tournament numbers. If I click over here, I can see group stage only numbers. I think I saw that there's something out there for Ronaldo to get a goal in the group stages. It was boosted to even money at William Hill, which would be 50%. And 80% of the time Ronaldo's going to get a goal. Whether he plays every minute in the group stages or not is up to debate. And if you disagree with what the baseline says, again, you can change how many minutes he's going to play or his goal allocation in the group stage in this tool down here. Keep on scrolling down. We've got the assist count distribution, the same as above. Bruno Fernandes and Joshua Kimmich are going to head the market here 66% of the time. Fernandes is going to get an assist in this tournament. And at the bottom, because we're doing this, we've now got team with most goals. It's going to be Spain 17.55% of the time, England 12.1% of the time, which is fair odds of 8.25. with team to score the most goals in the World Cup. Netherlands look really strong at 34.0. It's a bookmaker price because the exchanges are quite liquid there. But at 33 to 1, you're doubling your money for every £100 you stake on that. You're going to get £207 and 8 pence back. Similarly, Portugal, France and England are value, and Turkey at 151 are thin, but value as well to get the most goals in this World Cup. The interesting part about this is that all of the data now is downloadable into a spreadsheet. So if I just come up here and click download markets, that arrives in a CSV. I can go and interrogate all of that information for myself. This simulator is available for free before the World Cup starts through the hub at BookieBashing.net, so you can go and play with it. Let's have a look at some of that assist data, shall we? Looking at most assists, it's an interesting market. You go on to Odds Checker and it's a sea of identikit prices, which means that one odds compiler bothered to price it up and every other one just copied. I mean, one person goes, you wait for the one person to go, you copy. You never want to be that one person. You want to be like the third person, especially on the exchanges. You don't want to be the first person to put a price up or the second price on the exchanges. You also want to be the third person that puts a price up. But regardless, most assists isn't an exchange market, so you've got those two things in play. You've got the fact that only one odds compiler has modeled it, nobody else has, so there's no sharpening of the odds there, and there's nothing on the exchange which isn't going to sharpen the odds, and that means that you see a lot of mad opinions. I've seen quite a lot of people saying Harry Kane is a value bet to get the most assists in the tournament at 50 to 1. Objectively, using the market numbers for number of assists, he should be north of 150 to 1. I think Harry Kane should be 820 to 1. Whatever way you look at it, 50 to 1 is not a value bet on Harry Kane. There's like at least 50 players in the World Cup who have an expected assist that is higher than Harry Kane's. In 112 appearances, he's had 19 assists, but 2 of those were against Lithuania, 1 against Malta, 4 against Bulgaria, 1 against Kosovo, 1 against Iceland, 2 against Albania, 2 against Iran. You get the idea. He's a very talented individual, but he scores the goals. And mathematically, that means that he can't be getting the assists because he can't assist himself. And that's why Kane's just not going to get any assists in this tournament. He's not predicted to get more than, well, in our model, 0.6, in the markets, 0.8. And that's not going to be enough when Bruno Fernandes is going to get over 2.0. That's his expectancy anyway. So, no, I'm not having Kane most assists. I will have these players, though. Kang In Lee at 250 to 1. I mean, 98.6 would be his most assists. Joshua Kimmich, we've discussed him for Germany. Very interesting player, 50 to 1 and 66 to 1 for David Raum. All of these each way. Most assists is usually tied because there are fewer assists than there are goals. You could Dutch all of these 16 players here. That would give you 7 to 1. Fair odds on one of these players getting the most assists would be 5.26. So play them each way. Dutch the 16 players, but there is value out there. It's just not with Harry Kane, I'm afraid. And again, if you want to play around with the simulator and adjust the number of assists allocated to any particular player, you can go and take your own position there. And that brings us on to some subjectivity around the numbers that we're working on. For example, how many minutes is Ronaldo going to play in the group stages? This is his last hurrah. He has said that. Is he going to play every minute? We've expanded from 7 games to 8 games. Is there a need to rest star players at 41 and in the heat? Can he compete? Is his influence and his ego so big that he's going to demand to play every single minute? We've got Ronaldo down at 29.3% of Portugal's goals. Now, that could be fewer if he's not going to play. It could be more if he's going to play every minute of every game. Who knows? Well, do you know what? Nobody. So you have to apply your best guess to something like this. And it might actually change the closer that we get to the tournament. If we've been conservative, he's already value. He could, Cristiano Ronaldo, be extremely good value. If he plays every minute of every game and Portugal start banging in goals, Jonathan David, he's by far and away Canada's focal point. The markets of Canada's goals up at 6.5 to 7. I'm taking a position and I am putting them at more like 7.5 to 8. And at times, Jonathan David gets like 40% of Canada's goals. I've conservatively got him at, I think, 30.5% in this model. And again, I think that's conservative. And with that, he's big value for top goal scorer in the tournament, golden boot, generally to get goals. So that's a position that I'm taking. Now, there's this interesting thing about value betting and modeling numbers at scale, 1,104 players. Are we going to get it right for all 1,104 players? No, we're working with incomplete information, as are our opponents on the exchange or at the bookmakers. But value betting is a bit like playing poker. Have you ever looked at high-level poker, where they're working with incomplete information? But sometimes it's not whether you raise or fold. The correct idea is that you should raise 30% of the time and fold 70% of the time. That's game theory optimal for the long-term game, and you don't need to be right all the time. You just need to be right the majority of the time, and you will profit. And value betting is the same as this. I'm not saying all of these numbers are completely 100% accurate with the nth degree. They can't be, but what we have to be is we have to be right the majority of the time. And we've shown time and again with the precision of the numbers that we put up at Bookie Bashing and the return on investment that we show from our tools and our trackers, that we do get long periods where we're breaking even. We might not have made the perfect right decision on every single bet. And so that brings us on to top team goal scorer and the guy that we started this video with, Maxime de Kuyper. Now, what's going on with this chap? Is he going to be the top team goal scorer for Belgium? Probably not. Not with Lukaku, De Bruyne, Trossard, Jeremy Doku all in the team. But things start to get interesting when we have a scenario where Belgium don't score that many goals. And someone like de Kuyper with 0.35 expected goals could sneak to a couple of goals, might get a dead heat with one. We make him fair odds for the top team goal scorer at 44.8%. It's only going to happen 2% of the time. Here's the thing. Whilst a lot of bookmakers are 40 to 1 on him, a lot of bookmakers are 350 to 1 on him. Why? I don't know. Is it a palp? I think it's unlikely because of how many other bookmakers are 350 to 1. It's one of those interesting scenarios where they've been lazy. There's a suite of these bookmakers that might have been waiting for someone to go up. Bet365 have gone 350 to 1. We will as well. And then some other bookmakers have got him right. A say right 40 to 1 would be quite thin margin when the fair odds are 44.8. So Maxime de Kuyper is just a value bet at 350 to 1. A value bet that probably shouldn't be palped, but you never know, right? We ran top team goal scorer for every player, and he was the player that jumped out at number 1. What surprised me was that with 1,104 players, 332 players were found to be plus EV at their top price. Now, great, top price sometimes is an outlier. You might not want to be wanting to bet on top price for account longevity, but even at average price, when we average the price out in the markets, there were over 100 players that were plus EV. And with these players, we can start putting them into lucky 15s, lucky 31s, lucky 63s, and small stakes can have the potential at very large payouts. Whilst we can't bet each way with these players, it's very interesting to put your Curacao players, your Haiti players, your Ghana players into this, because there's a big chance that one goal will be enough to be the winner, whether that is a dead heat tie or even a winner on your own. And then now all of a sudden some of these 40 to 1, 80 to 1, 100 to 1 guys can be attractive value betting propositions. So what do we do with all of this? It's very difficult for me to put it on a table because what people want, especially if they're doing system bets, is they want the value at their bookmaker. And so I could give you top price for all of the players, but I can't give you the price of every single player every single bookmaker because it gets messy. So what we're going to do is we've created a tool at Bookie Bashing. Today's Sunday afternoon. It's 5:26 just now. We're working on it right now. I think by Monday lunchtime, Monday afternoon, this tool will be up. Now, there's a lot of value here. A lot of these bets are 150, 200% or more. In fact, let me look. Yeah, there are 45 players who at an average market price are over 150% EV. It's too much value to give away for free. We've given quite a lot away leading up to the start of the World Cup, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and there's never any pressure to pay money. What we can't do is we can't just destroy such big value as this by giving it away for free. So we've got a new membership tier at Bookie Bashing. It's £29 every week. It's our first weekly tier, and we're doing this because the World Cup is a short period of time. Doing it for months, sometimes people don't want to subscribe for months and months, and so we thought we'll do it week by week. If you want to sign up to this tier, you'll get access to the top team Goalscorer tracker, which will go live in play as well. The in-play tournament team simulator and player simulator, this Monte Carlo simulator, we'll keep it free right up until Thursday, but it is going to go in play, as well as private bet tracking and group bet tracking, the football coupons tracker, the player stats and the game center that models all lines and player XG. I mean, it's going to be a little tough with the lineups through this World Cup because a lot of them are going to be coming as late as 4 o'clock in the morning, but even before lineups, you can enter your own, and there's plenty of value to be had. That's available over at Bookie Bashing under the World Cup tier for £29 a month. If you enjoy these videos, feel free to like and subscribe. We'll try and get a few more out as soon as the World Cup gets started and we see what particular edges and angles we can find. And good luck, whatever it is, and however you've set up your particular simulator, but especially good luck to the Brighton right back.